What's up, hybrid ministry friends and family? Today we are talking about partnering with parents, and back on the pod for perhaps the most times of any guest is the one and only, the Pay Your Youth pastor himself, Josh Boldman. If you have not had a chance to listen to any of the previous episodes that Josh has been on, Josh is a fantastic interview, and today he's going to drop some gold about partnering with parents. And what's really interesting and fun about Josh's perspective is he's a youth pastor, lifelong youth pastor, works at Download Youth Ministry, serves youth pastors, but now he's in a position where he, for the first time, is attending a church as a parent alone. And so he can give you the perspective of someone who's been in the trenches and who is now a parent and what he's looking for as far as partnering with parents. And littered all throughout this episode are so many hybrid ideas. I think you're in for a treat. Welcome, my friends, to the Hybrid Ministry Show. Well, so here we are. And Josh, you might be the most frequented guest now on the Hybrid Ministry podcast, which...
do I get a jacket? Do I get a...
I think I sent you one, actually.
Oh, that's true, actually. Oh, that's fair.
But today... I've been asking people, like, hey, what do you feel like you're kind of like an expert on? So we're in this kind of mini series called How I. And so you said, let's talk about partnering with parents. And so over all your different years of experience, what do you feel like kind of uniquely positions you from a mindset or experience-wise or whatever about this idea of partnering with parents?
Yeah, so I mean, over the course of 20 years in youth ministry, I did the traditional route of before I had a kid, feeling like I knew everything more than any of the parents, like I was way smarter than them. And then I had my own kid, and then I was able to actually have the blessing of having my own kid in my own ministry. And then recently have now in a life stage where my kid is a part of a ministry that I do not lead. And so it's like, that's what I should have. Okay, those are the questions that I now have that I do
actually
answering.
Think that's a really, really fascinating perspective and one worth exploring. So what are a couple of principles or takeaways, especially in the lane of, I'm a youth pastor veteran. I work for a youth ministry company, but as a parent, as a customer, so to speak, of this youth group, what do you wish you were getting back from, the youth ministry?
I think that something that every youth minister needs to remember is that you are ministering to a family and not just to a student, hands down. Because a student is a product, I mean, not entirely, but they're a product of their family, right? Their parents. When you talk to a kid, half the things they say are things that they have either heard their parents say, or they or are in rebellion against something that their parents have said, right? So so the better that you know the parents, the better you are going to know the student. And whether that kid has a awesome relationship with their parents or a terrible relationship with their parents or no relationship with their parents, whoever it is at home that takes care of them, that makes them feel safe, you are on the same team with that person, whether you know them or not. And I will be as blunt as I can be in saying, if you're on the same team as those people and you don't know them, that is dumb. Just don't put yourself in a position of being on a team with someone you don't even know.
So you've worked in some larger contexts, let's say.
Yep.
How would you recommend someone who has a youth group of 50 students with, let's say, 50 unique family units? Okay, probably more than 50 because siblings, whatever. How do they get to know parents? Because I would imagine the pushback from a youth pastor is I try.
I can't know them all,
Well, and we have meetings, and they never come to the meetings, and all this stuff. So we've all been there, we've all experienced it. What, as a parent now on the other side, give us some tips.
Yeah, I would say one, especially if you're talking about a middle school ministry, do check-in at the beginning of the night and be at the check-in station. And I know that seems so antithetical to I should be hanging out with the kids, and yes, that's great. Go play 9 Square, go play Gaga Ball, whatever. But spend some time at check-in, because especially if they're in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, their parents are going to probably walk in with them. Like, so that's a great opportunity. Like, but even if it's not then, like, clock the times that you know, like, hey, when are my best opportunities to meet this parent? And it's almost always going to be drop off pickup. Sometimes we'll do like depending on like the layout of your building and how close the youth room is to the actual parking lot. Like, we used to do a thing where we'd have somebody inside with a walkie-talkie and somebody outside with a walkie-talkie. So when a parent would pull up, they would say, hey, I'm here to pick up Johnny. And so the person on the radio would be like, Johnny. And so then we'd call Johnny's name inside. I was like, why am I not the person outside with the walkie-talkie? Like, go be that person talking to the parent. Like,
yeah, that's so smart.
And plus, one of the best things you can do in that situation is they're like, hey, I'm here to pick up Johnny. You can be like, dude, Johnny's awesome. Like, let me tell you about Johnny. Johnny is so
what parent
cool.
doesn't want to hear that about their kid? Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Because think of every time a parent gets called by a teacher, it's to tell them that their kid's not doing great. So, like, if you can be, like, the one time that you, like, if you're open enough to literally calling parents, like, go call a parent and be like, hey, I need to tell you something about Johnny. And they're like, what do you do now? And they're like, he was amazing. Like, don't lie about Johnny. Like, if Johnny's a little turd, like, you can be honest about it, but like, don't drag Johnny through the dirt for no good reason. Like, go out of your way to tell him how awesome it is.
Yeah, no, that's so good. It's like the whole idea of, positive reinforcement versus negative, so much more powerful.
Totally.
And we can just be strategic and intentional to position ourselves, to do that. Even if you're like, I'll give myself 20 minutes on the calendar a week and I'll try to like call as many parents as and just say something nice about their kids. And if they're quick conversations or even, bro, like leave a voicemail. Like maybe they don't answer, whatever. Like it'll still be awesome. You can be like, hey, no need to call back. Just wanted to, let you know, whatever. Like that'd be really good.
Yeah, and especially if you know that you have a kid who is, gosh, I don't know what it has been about the 20 years I spent in ministry, but it was just like every kid with an attention deficit of something, like they all just showed up at our ministry, right? And it was great. Which is a lot of fun. I'm just like, I would be the first to say, like, it is a party.
You had fun during the games.
Yes. Oh man, until the broken arms. But but the thing was you would see parents drop off their kids and those parents were exhausted, right? And they were just like exasperated. Like they are saying like, hey, please help. And also please give me a break for a minute. And so like, if you can call and like, if you know that they're having trouble with their kid at school and you can then brag about something awesome about that kid, like I cannot tell you how that feels. Just to be able to know like, let's call it what it is. Parents need to hear that not everybody hates their kid. Like, I know that sounds harsh, but
well, no, you're always questioning, like, are our kids weird? Like,
right?
Are they,
yes.
Like, you're always asking that thing.
It's like my own kid. Like, I love my kid, but I don't know how other people feel about him unless they tell me.
Yeah, no, you're so right.
So, yeah.
So far, it's interesting. Like, nothing you've said had anything to do with, like, the youth pastor's sermon or
not even a little
cue cards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not.
What
it's
else,
not,
man?
It's not every year we do a message series where we talk about be nice to your parents. Like, no, that's not. That doesn't. I mean, you can't. Please
sure.
do that.
It can
but,
help. Yeah.
But some things that I have noticed, in times, especially when I started in a ministry where I followed someone who left poorly. What I almost across the board saw was that person, especially when it came to parents, was disorganized and did not communicate well. So like, and this may sound so minor, but like send an email every week. Like even if it is literally the same email, like it's the same template, just change 2 things, whatever. But that way, when parents are trying to figure out what's going on, they can always look at the last email and see what it was.
Yeah.
Don't expect them to open it and read it right when you send it and be like, "This email was great."
Well, and that's what I would say with like our even like the little bit of like hybrid strategies. Like, make sure your website's up to date because how annoying is it when you have a question about like what time's that event start and you go to the website and it's not even there.
Yeah.
And it's like, I sent it in the email. It's like, do you know how many emails I've gotten? And so I recommend like do both. Like just keep both things.
Keep
both
100%.
things updated. because they may not be hanging, like you said, on your every word. Be like,
Right.
give me your outline from your last 10 messages so that I can go over them with my kid. Like, but like the parents, like they do just want to be able to stay in the loop, and they got a lot going on, just like you do. And so help them, figure out where they can snag that info for sure.
Another good one that we do, like, and this is literally every place that I started. This was something I instituted like within like the first month, and I got most pushback from volunteers, which is interesting. We start and end on time every week, period. And oh my gosh, I mean, to tell you that, like, so I was at a place once where when I came in, we started youth group at 7, which really meant it was 7:15, and then the small groups went and they started at like 8:30, which is too late. And that meant that they went
on a school
9,
night.
On a school night, and then the overall ministry philosophy was we don't start cleaning up until the last kid leaves, because we don't want them to feel like we're pushing them out. And
which, like, I get the sentiment.
Totally get it. Like, and it does. It makes so much sense. But at the end of the day, think this through. Like, we would have students there till like 10:30 and 11, and then we would clean. And I'm there with my own son, so I can't even go home with my own kid and get him to bed. And he's got to go to school the next morning.
Yeah, right. You're locked up. Like,
and so now if I'm a parent and I notice a pattern that my kid keeps getting in trouble on Thursdays, and then I also piece it together that they're out late every Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm going to start putting 2 and 2 together, and I'm going to start blaming somebody. And
Bro,
so, like,
so we homeschool our kids this year, first year. They couldn't go to like Wednesday night activities at the church because it was too tough of a turnaround for their first and second grade bodies. Like,
so
the
hard.
alarm goes off at 6 a.m. after church on Wednesday night. It was like
crazy.
Exactly. It was brutal. And so it's like, now the nice thing is like, hey, we're homeschool and it's cool. We can take our kids to church.
And what it let us do is we said 8:45. That's when we start cleaning up, whether students are there or not. And any student who's still there gets to help. And so that actually taught the students that, okay, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 8:30.
Or the good ones will,
But and then when parents would show up and they'd see their kid helping, like, even that was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? And how is this magic? And how can I do this at home? And, and so suddenly that just creates so many more opportunities for conversations with parents. And for us to say, hey, we're doing this, and we're keeping a tight schedule so that you know what to expect, and what your kid knows what to expect at school the next day.
Yeah, it's so good. When you say start, like, how would you see it being helpful? Maybe I understand the ending, the beginning. How is it helpful starting on time as opposed to like a delayed, 15 minutes? I feel like that's a staple in youth ministry.
Oh yeah. So, like, same thing. Like, I know it's a hard turnaround. Like, if your kid gets home from school, you get home from work, you're trying to get dinner, all that. Right? You rush, and you rush to get them there at 7, and then you just see everybody just sitting around.
Yeah, you're like,
why did I rush so hard to get here?
So it's like an honoring of the effort that it took to. Yeah. So, like, you actually, it's good. It's good. I like it.
Yeah. And it's never perfect, right? Stuff's always going to go sideways, but like, if you can give them what to expect, then when it does go a little long, or, things don't quite work out the way then it's like, it's not their internal monologue is like, oh, not again. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. It happens.
It happened. Yeah, you have the kind of credibility of like, we always end on time. Sorry, tonight went 5 minutes late.
Yep.
And that's, I'm with you. Like, if you're gonna go like late, like 5 minutes is your absolute max. Like, that's my absolute max. I'm like, and I'm sweating bullets in the back. Like, band, we don't need you to play that interlude again. Just pray.
Please,
let's go. Get him out of here.
Please don't. Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
I would say, so something we did was we started a text chain where we would send parents discussion questions during the lesson. So that if they were picking their kid up later, they'd be like, instead of saying, how was youth group? They could be like, hey, I heard you were talking about Joshua chapter 2.
It goes right to them. Being on the phone, that, as opposed to a cue card, we posted on a Facebook group, and I still don't even think that's the most like effective place for it.
Yeah. And it lets them opt in.
Yeah, exactly. That's really good. That's good.
2 other kind of small things we used to do is we created an observation deck where it was like a row where parents could come and sit and watch.
That's cool.
But it was and we always had a volunteer assigned to them. So it was like, we always said, if you're going to be around kids, you got to be background checked. You got to, all that. So like,
all the things.
But if you're a parent, and you're just like genuinely curious about what happens here, you don't have to go through that whole process, but we're going to stick a volunteer with you that has, and they're going to be with you the entire time. But that at least let parents know that, hey, this is not a secret what we do here. We're not, trying to like turn your kids against you or anything like that.
That's just like a full transparency moment.
Yeah.
So,
and then last bit of advice I would give is just when you are talking to parents, remember that they are adults and not students. It's hard to turn that, switch that, flip that switch or whatever. Because you can be really quick going from talking to a bunch of kids to then talking to parents, and that same demeanor, that same way, you're addressed. Like there's the parent that brought the kid and the parent that wants to take that kid home needs respect, and it needs respect shown in a way that's different than the way you would show respect to a student. Yeah. So I just say, just remember that. Remember, you're on the same team. It's not you versus them. It's you and them trying to help the kid.
And I think as I listen to every single thing you said, right, I think the encouraging part is nothing really added anything to your workload.
Nope.
You're not creating some crazy parent seminar. Right. You're not adding some big once a year conference. Like, you are subtly shifting your positioning at the beginning and end of service. You're subtly shifting your mindset and your organization, and you're adding maybe a text thread, right? Which it'll take you less than 10 minutes for your entire series to type out 2 questions per message.
Oh, yeah. And what we do, we use questions that were small group questions anyway.
Yeah. And you can copy and paste or reframe slightly. Yeah. And you're right there. So that's so good. Totally. Josh, anything else that people need to know about partnering with parents, or anything else they need to know in general?
I will say this, okay, and because this is the mistake I made, and I think a mistake so many people make. If you don't have kids, do not assume that you know better than the parent.
That's good.
Assume that you are you can help the parent. Assume that you are still a resource, and you know students. But just parenting is hard, dude. Like it's so hard, and you don't know what that parent is walking in with or what they're walking out with. You might think that kid is like just the golden child, but that might not be what is happening at home. Just don't assume, So go into any conversation with parents, I think, with a posture of learning, and a posture of good. I want to support you. I think is good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, all Josh social media, all his stuff's linked down below. Go check him out. But for Josh, this is Nick. Thanks for being here, guys. We'll talk to you next time.